So today was a double header for video game stuff. We of course kicked things off with the Sony State of Play event, and honestly I really enjoyed that event. There was a lot of cool announcements and a lot of cool reveals there. Make sure you guys go check out my video and thoughts on the Sony State of Play event after this video. And then we were wrapping things up with a Nintendo Indies Direct, or a Nintendo Indie World as they're now calling it, basically showcasing some upcoming indie games coming to the Nintendo Switch. Now I did not expect it to have big announcements like we saw with the Sony State of Play event. Obviously you can't compare a game like Resident Evil 3 to whatever was going to be shown during this event, but there was some really good stuff here. A lot of new games were announced, and we even got some stealth drops as well. So I want to give you guys my thoughts on the event. So sit back, relax, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and let's talk about my thoughts on Nintendo's Indie World presentation. Alright, so starting things off, fans of Golf Story were probably very excited for this. A sequel to Golf Story called Sports Story is coming in mid-2020 as a Nintendo Switch exclusive. Now, since it's called Sports Story, there's going to be more than just golf involved in this event. They're going to have tennis, soccer, volleyball, and more. It definitely still has that Golf Story aesthetic to it. Of course, there's going to be dungeons and stuff because it's not really a sports game. It's an RPG with sports elements, which doesn't really make sense on paper, but it definitely works in this style of game. Golf Story was a game that everyone loved. It was very well received, so expanding that to more sports I think is going to draw more people in. Like I said, this will be a mid-2020 release on the Nintendo Switch and is an exclusive. Now, if you watched my video from yesterday, I was definitely looking forward to this presentation, but one of the things I was looking forward to was, of course, seeing the lovely Katie Casper, and Katie Casper wasn't involved in this Indies Direct, in this Indie World's presentation. Like, Nintendo, what are you doing? What are you doing, Nintendo? Let's get Katie Casper back in there. You know, the other girl is cool, but she ain't no Katie Casper, man. She ain't no Katie Casper. But moving right along, let's get into more games because the next game was very exciting for me. So Streets of Rage 4 got some brand new gameplay footage. This is a game I'm really looking forward to. I love old school beat 'em ups. The Streets of Rage series on the Genesis was awesome, and we learned about a new character that's going to be in the game called Adam Hunter. And basically he's just like a big ass dude who kicks ass, but I think the game looks super smooth. A lot of people were worried about the cel shaded art style when the pictures and screenshots first came out of the game. They're like, oh, you know, it looks kind of cheap, but I think the game in action looks absolutely fantastic. It is silky smooth, and that's one of the best things about a beat 'em up game is a silky smooth presentation. I really like the different environments that you're in. I like the different enemies that you're fighting. I am really looking forward to this game. It'll be coming out in the first half of 2020. If the trailer was anything to go by, it sounds like it's going to have a pretty good synthwave soundtrack as well. I really like the song that they used in that. I don't know if that's exclusive to the game or something that was used from another artist, but definitely an awesome looking game and something that I'm really looking forward to. Now, the next two games, they were decent looking, but they're not games I'm going to play. I'm just going to talk about them very briefly because, I don't know, they just didn't interest me all that much. The first game is called Gleamlight, which is a 2D platformer. Might have some Metroidvania elements into it, but basically you like turn into a sword. There's no user interface or words in the game. The game somehow like learns how you play. Once again, not a bad looking game, but I'm just kind of tired of playing games like that. The next game was a game called Bake and Switch, which it looks kind of weird. If you're a fan of games like Overcooked, I think you might enjoy this game. It's basically a local and online co-op sort of game where you're trying to do things like knead dough unless the bad guy will get the dough and stuff like that. I don't know. Like I said, it's a really weird looking game. It has a decent looking aesthetic, but it's not a game I'll play. I'm not really huge into party games, but you might be interested in it. The game's called Bake and Switch. Now, the next game was the biggest surprise from this Indie World's presentation for me. I don't know if this game has been talked about before or if this was a new reveal, but there's a game called Super Mash that's coming out, and I absolutely love it. It reminds me a lot of Retro Game Challenge, which was a game that released on the DS, but basically what Super Mash is, it's a randomly generated game in which you mix and mash two different genres of games. So like a JRPG and a Contra game, and then the game makes a game that you play based on the two different styles that you chose. And all these styles look awesome. Everything they showed from this trailer of all the different styles of games that you can play just looks absolutely awesome. Like, I want this game right now. You can actually share your levels online with your friends so that people can play them since they are randomly generated. I think this is going to be a huge hit. As a fan of old school games and retro games in general, being able to mix and match genres just sounds absolutely awesome, and I loved everything that they showed from this game. It'll be coming out in May of 2020 and is definitely one of my most anticipated games of 2020 now. Next up, we got the first of 2 stealth drops during this event, and the first game being the Talos Principle, which I believe has come out on PC. I don't know if it came out on other consoles, but it's basically a first-person perspective puzzle game that's non-linear, and it looks like a more action-y Myst to me. I'm not a huge fan of games like this. I like the Cube series. I thought the Cube series was kind of fun, but I don't know. I probably won't be playing this game, but it does release today. If you're interested in this game, the Talos Principle, you like puzzle games in a first-person perspective, it might be worth checking out. The next game we learned about was a game called Sailforth, which is a procedurally generated pirate game where you basically have a custom boat and you customize it, and then you go out into the sloppy seas and like do pirate stuff, like blow crap up and fight different enemies. They didn't really show a whole hell of a lot of this game. It has sort of a cel-shaded art style, so I can't really talk too much about it, but I think the premise is cool. I like pirate games, you know, arg matey, so I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to more information on it. Then we got the second of 2 stealth drops today, and that is Dauntless. Now, Dauntless has been available on other platforms such as the PS4, Xbox One, and PC for quite a while now, but now it is finally coming to the Nintendo Switch today. And Dauntless is basically a Monster Hunter style game. You get together with some friends, you fight a big hulking creature, you kill the creature, and then you use that stuff that you got from killing the creature to basically craft more stuff. The Nintendo Switch version of the game actually has some exclusive content in the realm of costumes, and what's really cool is that the game will have cross-platform and cross-save functionality. So if you play the game on PC or on your PS4 and then you're leaving the house, going somewhere that has internet, you can actually play your same file on your Nintendo Switch with all the cross-progression, saves, and of course the cross-platform play. So you can play with people on PS4, Xbox One, no big deal. So that's a very cool thing. It's a very good-looking game, and it's free, so why wouldn't you check it out? I'm definitely going to be checking it out. You probably will be too. The next game was a game called Murder by the Numbers. It kind of has a Phoenix Wright vibe to it. I believe some of the animations and audio was actually done by people that worked on Phoenix Wright. You solve a mystery murder. It's a timed exclusive for the Nintendo Switch. I'm not gonna play it, but you might play it. You know, I think it looks okay, but I don't know, just not really my style of game. I do enjoy the Phoenix Wright games, but I don't know, nothing really clicked with me with this game. But yeah, something kind of cool. Now, Oddworld Stranger's Wrath HD actually looks really badass. Oddworld Stranger's Wrath is basically a action-adventure game in which you're trying to kill different things. You know, a basic action-adventure game, but they're actually adding in some cool stuff. So there's a first-person perspective, and the Nintendo Switch version of the game will actually have gyroscope controls. I think the game looks really fun. It has, you know, a lot of fast-paced action, and it's coming out in January of 2020. Really good-looking game. When it originally released, it was pretty popular, so it's nice to see this game getting an HD remaster. Like I said, it comes out in January. The next game was called Skatebird. It's a bird on a skateboard, and you pretty much put anything on a skateboard and I'm interested in it. Do I think this game is going to be great? No, I don't, because it's a bird on a skateboard. But as someone who skateboarded for many years, still owns a skateboard, I still have a love of skateboarding. I will be checking this game out. Like, I'll probably do a full review. Maybe I'll get some of the geese that live at the bottom of the hill and like get a goose on a skateboard, Untitled Goose Skateboarding Game or something like that. Maybe we can make this crossover happen. But yeah, it's a bird on a skateboard. What more do you need to know? Looks kind of dope. The next game was a game called Liberated, and it's basically a comic book slash cyberpunk drawn style game, but you actually flip between the comic pages kind of like in Comic Zone, and you get different types of gameplay. So there might be interactive stuff with like quick time events, or there might be action stuff. The action stuff gameplay kind of reminds me a bit of Shadow Complex in the way that you're doing your shooting mechanics and stuff. It's got a dark and gritty style. The trailer for it was kind of short, but I was definitely very interested in this game. I think it looks pretty cool and could end up being like a sleeper hit of this event. The next game was a game called Boyfriend Dungeon, which that doesn't sound right, but it's basically a dungeon crawling dating simulator. I mean the gameplay looked kind of fun. You battle martinis and stuff, but yeah, I'm not really in the market for a boyfriend right now. It's probably a game I'm going to pass on, but you know, I feel like there are some people out there that will enjoy this game. You know, different people out there and are maybe looking for a boyfriend in a dungeon and want to battle martinis. If you've ever wanted to do that, this is the game for you. The next game was yet another randomly generated game called Dreamscape. Basically, you go to sleep and you wake up and you're in different types of games, like a brawler or action RPG elements and stuff like that. I don't know. The gameplay trailer was kind of confusing for this game to me, but I did like what I saw. I liked some of the environments that they showcased, and it seemed like it would be a pretty deep game. Once again, this is a game that, you know, I think it has potential. I do want to get some more information on it, but I do think it looks pretty fun, and once again, it could end up being one of those stealth hits. The next game was a game called The Survivalist, which is actually set in the Escapist universe, which if you've ever played an Escapist game, you pretty much know what you're getting into. But basically, you're put on a randomly generated island. It seems like randomly generated stuff is becoming very, very popular. You craft and build stuff on these bases and basically try to fortify your thing. You explore temples, but the cool thing is that it has local and online co-op, so you can play with your friends in this game as well. Definitely an interesting looking game. I might not play it, you know, I kind of got my survival stuff out of the way with the Lost in Blue series on the Nintendo DS. You remember Lost in Blue? And nobody remembers Lost in Blue, but it was a fun series. It looks like a decent enough game. Maybe I'll check it out, maybe not. The final game was definitely a pretty cool surprise, and that is Axiom Verge 2. Now, of course, Axiom Verge was worked on by just one individual. One individual made that awesome game, and now we have Axiom Verge 2 coming out. The developer said that they've been working on the game for about 4 years now. It looks definitely more in-depth than the original Axiom Verge did in terms of the areas that you go into. There's a lot more variety in the backgrounds and the environmental pieces and then the enemies that we saw in this little snippet of Axiom Verge 2 than in the original game. Now, Axiom Verge has released on nearly everything. You've probably played it, so more than likely you are looking forward to Axiom Verge 2. Of course, a lot of people say that this is like a spiritual successor to the classic Metroid games, and I definitely can see that, and I definitely think this is going to be a very cool game. And that was the final game that they ended on. So all in all, what did I think of the presentation? I think it did exactly what it needed to do. Obviously, like I said, you're not going to get these big AAA announcements with games like Resident Evil 3 during this presentation. It is a smaller indie-based direct, but you learned about new games. We saw new games. We saw some really good games, a great variety of games, and we had some stealth drops, which is what I look forward to during these presentations. I like a good variety of stuff. I want stuff that may not interest me, but it might interest you to be involved in these indie presentations and Nintendo Directs in general. So overall, very, very solid. Nothing too groundbreaking or anything like that, but I definitely liked what I saw from this presentation. So let me know in the comments section down below what games you have on your radar now from this indie presentation. Are you as excited for games like Super Mash and Streets of Rage 4? Because you should be, you should be. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Like I said, be sure to check out my State of Play thoughts and reactions video as well. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later.